Yes, it still exists. Yes, I'm still here, and I am still working on the Toyota Celica GTS. Got to the point where I have a big board over here of things that I'm checking off to get it to the point where it can actually be registered and put on the road, and we'll take it for a test drive. That's a ways away. Let's see what we got going on with it right now. And as we check our list, rear brake lines attached to the frame, done. Route and test brake light wires, we're getting that done. Positive wire to the front of the car, ties in with that. Install rear glass, we got that one done. Fender inner and outer wheel well, outer fender, wide body, all that stuff is welded on, welded in place, still needs to be painted and, you know, fine-tuned a little bit. No steer steering rack. We got to stop that front suspension from steering and keep this in a straight line in a reliable fashion, because we don't want that giving up at 55 miles an hour or whatever speed this thing goes. And of course, eventually we're going to have to put some gauges and stuff in this, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. And a little something for my 12 or so regular viewers to do: share this video. If we share this video out enough, we might get up to 14 or 15 regular viewers by the end of the week. But thanks for the shares, thanks for the likes, thanks for the comments. Let's go over to the car. Well, it's been a little while since I put a video together on this thing, so I figured it was about time for an update. A little bit's been happening, mostly some painting in the engine compartment. Got everything painted black. Nothing too exciting there, but at least it's got a coat of paint on it. The back glass is in. I'm happy to have that in place. Got it glued in place, and eventually on the inside I'll probably put some kind of trim around the inside of it to, you know, finish it all off, but that comes way later. We got to get this thing back together and running. And speaking of running, once it's running, it's got to stay cool, or you got to keep different components cool. I've got the transmission cooler in place. I've got a thermostatic switch on it. I've got a relay inside to turn the fan off and on. All that's been wired up, so I've got that done. If you follow the tubing on down, the end of the tubing is just looped around. I'll cut that off the length I need once the engine's in place. I've already got the fittings put on the transmission. The other thing I'm working on is putting the wiring for the taillights in all the way to the back. The wiring is all there, it's all the factory wiring. I have to add one more wire to go all the way to the front. We're going to do that here in a little while, because I've got two separate vehicles. I've got to power the computer for the engine, and I've got to power everything else still up in the front. Cooling fans, air conditioning fan inside the car, dash and all that stuff, headlights, all that are still powered from the front of the car. So I'm going to run a wire all the way to the front. I've got the battery in place down here. I'm going to use a stock Toyota battery mount plate, I believe. Looks like it's going to work. And it's going to use a factory Toyota battery, so you'll just be able to go to your parts place and order a battery for a Toyota Celica, or pick a battery up for a Toyota Celica and drop it right in. Hopefully it works. Other things from our list is no steer power steering rack. Got to step over here and take a quick look at this. And to do that, all we're going to do is take the original power steering rack out, and we're going to replace it with basically a round tube that's hollow, that'll have holes in the end of it that the tie rod ends will bolt to. After this wiring harness comes up through the engine compartment, there's room back here to run this all up over the top of the strut tower. So once it's all put into plastic conduit, I'll be sliding it all up through there. The fun part of this whole thing is I have to add 2 more wires. I bought wire to do that with right here. A little heavier gauge than I probably need, but this is, I believe, 4 gauge wire, and this is 6. This is going to run up to the inside of the car, run computers, fans, all that stuff that's engine related. This is going to run to the front of the car, run all the stuff that is related to the original car. Some of the fans, air conditioning, that kind of stuff. Nothing to do but get the wiring out of the packages and start figuring out where I'm going to route it, how I'm going to route it, and how long it's got to be, crimp some ends on it, all that good stuff. So to keep from burning the entire car to the ground if anything shorts out, I've got two fuse blocks here and trying to decide exactly where to mount them. Be pretty easy to mount them there. Be a little hard to get the covers off. I think I can mount them here and just put a metal plate behind them. That'll make it easy enough to get the covers off if I need to get the covers off. Got a good question here. I've got one fuse to run all the way to the front of the car to run all the car related stuff, and I got another fuse to run on the wire that runs all the engine related stuff. Do I need a fuse on the wire that goes to the alternator? The original car had a 120 amp fuse in the alternator wire, or well, the Celica did. I don't know what the Impala had, but they did come in a pack of 3, so maybe that's why they came in a pack of 3. I've made a decision. I'm going to use one fuse for the alternator, one fuse to run the stuff at the front of the car, one fuse to run the motor. And instead of running 3 separate wires to each one of these, I just made a little copper bar that's going to go all the way across them. I'll run the alternator into the middle and then the 2 leads out on each one of these, and then one to the battery from right here. And this piece of copper is rather thin, but I think it'll work. I'll make sure it doesn't get warm or anything like that. And if it does start to get warm, I'll just make a second one and double it up so it can handle the load. But I don't think there'll be any problem with that. The other thing I'm going to have to do is make a little gap in this so that they'll snap down in place. The outer 2 just need it on one side. The middle one needs both sides done. All right, just going to drill holes in the corners and then cut it with a razor knife up to it. Got my jig set up here so that I can guide the hole. Whoop, wrong side. Where's the one I'm drilling? There it is. Well, that's not going to work. It's only going to do that one and this one. Then I'll have to reset up for the other holes because they'll be in a different location. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, that might work. I think that'll work. See how it fits. Now repeat 3 more times. And now we'll head over here, see how it fits, or where it's going to fit. I like putting it in this position for easy access, but then again, these huge fuses should almost never have to be changed. So down here should be just fine. You can still get the covers off, and it's a lot easier for me to make a bracket to put it on. I just have to drill holes through that instead of making a plate. And it's also kind of out of the way. I think we're going here. All right, I've got holes drilled in it. And if my arms are long enough to reach around here, which since I don't have a tail light in it, I think I can get away with this. Well, if I get the bolt to line up with the hole, working blind. All right, that'll be in there something like that. So much fun. Actually, getting this wire threaded through there wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Of course, we'll wrap it and protect it a little bit. If I can reach it without falling into the car. All right. Whoa. And of course, this is going to go back in behind here with the rest of those. And I've decided this wire will come down the back side and hook in. Should work. Never throw anything away, unless of course you're going to need it tomorrow. Well, I've got the wiring loom all taped up, and we're going to see if we can get this threaded through. I'm just going to leave the camera running and see how much fun I have here. We have reached the first obstacle, very narrow point right here. I think I'm going to take these two screws out. Oh, it went through it. Went partway through it. Made it through without taking the screws out. Now the next fun part is going to be, this has got to go in here, and when it comes past this hole, I have to fish it out. Connector's out. Well, that wasn't too bad. Now, did I make it long enough? Perfect. Yep, it'll work. All right, that's going to reach. That little clip's going to fit in there. Looks like it was meant to go through there. All right, that little part's done. Now I've got to do all of this around here. You can't do everything with scraps, so I've ordered some wiring loom off Amazon, and this says on the ad that it's thicker, and it is thicker than most of the stuff that you order online. So I'll put a link in the description for it below, because I think it's a little bit better than most of what you order online. Now all I got to do is wrap all this wire, and I will spare you hanging around for the gory details of that. Got to put some big wiring loom. Hopefully I ordered big enough wiring loom. We'll see. Well, it is coiled pretty tight for shipping, so that makes it kind of hard to work with. So I'm going to take a lunch break, stretch it out in the sun, and let it straighten out. All right, kind of left you behind for the exciting stuff of just putting wiring in a loom and clamping it up and stuff like that. I've got my positive cable made. I've got a temporary ground that I'm hooking up. I stuck a tail light in it. And I'm about to test and see if any of this works. And the battery I'm using here is just kind of a placeholder. Just kind of takes up space and lets me know what size it's going to be, because it's actually dead as heck. But battery charger, let's see, turn on a key and step on a brake pedal just to see what happens. It doesn't appear that I have any power at all, but that's probably just because the cables aren't tight and such as that. All right, this battery's a little deader than I thought it was. If you don't have one of these old battery chargers that doesn't have to detect any voltage at the battery to start charging, you need to find one at a garage sale or something and buy one, even if it's a little 4-amp one like this, because my regular battery charger needs to detect voltage at the battery. This battery's completely dead, so it wasn't doing anything. Old standby here. All right, let's see, do we have brake lights? All right. Let's see, turn signal? No. I hear clicking starter relay. Let's see, what else can we test? Fans. We have blower fans. And apparently I'm doing 100 miles an hour now. And turning the headlight switch does what it's supposed to do. There's no headlights hooked up now, so no headlights, but yeah, I wonder if we have tail lights. Or tail light. Why, yes, we have tail light. All right, so I can call that wiring pretty much figured out, not done, because I have to go on the inside here and put this inside of a loom and straighten it up a little bit, but I think for the most part, we've got the wiring figured out at least halfway through the car. Now, when we get up to the engine bay, what used to be the engine bay, it's a little different story. There's a few loose ends that need to be tied up. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Maybe next time I will, no, not next time. Got more to do on the, what do you call it? No steer steering rack has to be finished. Then the engine goes in. Soon, soon. That's all for this one. All right, like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. And as always, thanks for watching.